Boston was still shaking off its St. Patrick's Day hangover when, in the early hours of March 18, 1990, the buzzer rang at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum's side door. Two guys in police uniforms convinced the night watchman they were there about a disturbance. Total lie. For the next 81 minutes, these fake cops wandered the museum's quiet, lush galleries, not rushing, not panicking. They chose what to steal with a weird kind of care, almost like they were picking souvenirs. They slashed two Rembrandts straight out of their frames, no mercy, and by the time they were done, they'd taken 13 pieces in all. The loot? Worth over $500 million now. To this day, it's still the biggest private property theft on record. And here's the wild part. Nobody's ever found a single piece. Not one. So that's the setup. A crime so gutsy and strange that it's haunted investigators for decades and left the art world with a wound that never really healed. It all starts with the vision of one remarkable woman and ends with empty frames still waiting for their lost treasures to come home. To really feel the sting of what was lost, you have to get why the museum mattered in the first place. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum wasn't just another building full of paintings. It was Isabella's own masterpiece, the lifelong passion project of a woman who refused to be ordinary. Gardner, a wealthy Bostonian who loved to break the rules, crisscrossed the globe with her husband, collecting not just art, but anything beautiful or strange that caught her eye. When she built her museum at the turn of the 20th century, she went all out. A Venetian palace, right in Boston, complete with a courtyard that exploded with flowers. She arranged everything herself. Every Titian, every Rembrandt, every piece of furniture and tapestry exactly where she wanted it. And she left behind strict instructions. Nothing could ever be moved, swapped, or sold. The place was meant to stay exactly as she'd left it, forever, for everyone to enjoy. That stubborn, protective vision, meant to keep her collection safe, only made what happened next even more heartbreaking. For almost 100 years, everyone respected her rule. But the museum's old-school charm hit a big modern problem. By 1990, the security was laughably out of date, and word got around. As one report later put it, the place was a sitting duck. And on that March night, the wolves showed up. The night felt still, almost too ordinary. Inside the museum, two security guards kept watch. Rick Abath, just 23, and a rookie on his very first overnight shift. Outside, Boston buzzed with St. Patrick's Day partiers. Around 12:30 a.m., a few people noticed a hatchback idling near a side entrance. Two men sat inside, dressed as cops. At 1:24 a.m. sharp, the buzzer rang at the employee entrance. Abath, glued to the security monitor, spotted the two men. They said they were police, there to check out a disturbance. Now, museum rules were clear. No one gets in without proof. But these guys looked legit. Abath hesitated, then let them in. That one decision changed everything. Once inside, the mood snapped from routine to surreal. The officers told Abath they recognized him. They even claimed they had a warrant for his arrest. They ordered him away from the desk, and more importantly, away from the only panic button that could have summoned real help. Abath followed orders, and in seconds, they cuffed him. When the second guard showed up to see what was happening, he didn't stand a chance. The thieves quickly had both men subdued. Then one of the men made it clear, "Gentlemen, this is a robbery." Duct tape came out. They covered the guards' eyes and mouths, then marched them down to the basement. There, they handcuffed them to a pipe and a workbench. Suddenly, The thieves had the place to themselves. Later, motion detectors would reveal their chillingly calm route through the dark museum. First stop, the Dutch room on the second floor. Here's where the violence really started. The thieves ignored priceless paintings by Rubens and went straight for Vermeer's The Concert, one of only about 34 Vermeers out there, and probably the most valuable stolen painting on Earth. Then it was Rembrandt's turn. They smashed the glass on Christ in the Storm on the Sea of Galilee, Rembrandt's only seascape, then hacked the canvas right out of its frame. They did the same to A Lady and Gentleman in Black. They also pocketed a smaller painting by Rembrandt's student, Govert Flinck, and a tiny self-portrait etching by Rembrandt himself, barely bigger than a postage stamp. On the way out, almost as an afterthought, they grabbed an ancient Chinese bronze beaker, a gu, from a table. Their choices didn't make much sense. In the short gallery, they tried to wrestle a massive Napoleonic flag off its pole, but gave up after a struggle, settling for the bronze eagle from the top. They also scooped up 5 delicate Degas sketches. But their last move was the real head-scratcher. Downstairs, they took Manet's Chez Tortoni. Thing is, the motion detectors never showed anyone in that room during the entire heist. The only person who'd been there? Rick Abath, during his earlier rounds. After 81 unhurried minutes, the thieves loaded their loot, grabbed the security tapes, and left almost nothing for police to find. At 2:45 a.m., they drove off into the night, vanishing with $500 million worth of art, never to be seen again. When the morning crew showed up at 8:15, something felt off right away. The place was too quiet. The side door hung open, and their co-workers were nowhere to be found. Panic set in fast. They searched everywhere and finally, in the basement, found the 2 guards, still tied up and gagged. Then the police swept through the galleries, and the full shock of what happened hit them. Gilded frames lay smashed on the floor in the Dutch room. Only jagged scraps of canvas were left from the Rembrandts. And the spots where Vermeer's and Manet's masterpieces used to hang? Just empty spaces now, staring back at them. 13 irreplaceable works, gone. The FBI came in, and suddenly the museum was at the center of one of the biggest art crime investigations ever. But even with all the chaos, the museum's leaders stuck to Isabella's wishes. Nothing in the galleries should change. So they made a choice that says it all. They put those empty frames right back up. They're still there, watching over the room like ghosts, marking the spots where the art once lived. They're not just placeholders. They're reminders, aching, stubborn memorials to what was lost. Here's the strange part. The thieves didn't go for the museum's biggest prizes. Instead, they picked out 13 really specific pieces, and honestly, no one stopped wondering about their choices for over 30 years. The centerpiece? Vermeer's The Concert. That painting is basically priceless. There are so few Vermeers left in the world, losing one just hurts. Rembrandt's Christ in the Storm on the Sea of Galilee was another gut punch. It's his only seascape, totally unique. They grabbed his double portrait, A Lady and Gentleman in Black too. That one's got a quiet power to it. Then things just get weird. They took 5 small Degas sketches, leaving behind other, more significant art by different masters. They grabbed a landscape by Govert Flinck, plus a Napoleonic eagle finial, which isn't worth much money, but maybe meant something else to someone. There's even a separate $100,000 reward just for that little eagle. And get this, the most valuable painting in the whole place, Titian's The Rape of Europa, sat untouched on the 3rd floor. It's like the thieves were following a checklist, not their own taste. Maybe they were working for some eccentric collector. Who knows? Either way, the fallout was huge. These weren't just expensive objects, they were pieces of our shared history. Their loss is a wound that'll never fully heal. So, what went wrong? Right away, investigators zeroed in on two things: the jaw-dropping security failures and, obviously, figuring out who pulled it off. Honestly, security at the Gardner in 1990 was a joke. The guards barely made enough to care, and their training was almost non-existent. No cameras inside, just some motion detectors and a cheap buzzer on an employee door. Years before, a consultant practically begged them to fix the gaping holes in their system, but money problems and Isabella's stubborn no changes rule kept everything frozen in time. In the end, it was a person who blew it. Rickabath broke the rules and opened that side door. The big mistake. People whispered about him for decades. He always said he was innocent, and the FBI eventually cleared him, but the suspicion stuck to him until he died in 2024. For more than 30 years, the FBI ran down thousands of leads. They got lost in a tangle of mobsters, wild stories, and countless dead ends. The Boston Mafia theory kept surfacing. Some folks think Bobby Donati, a mob guy, stole the art to trade for his boss's freedom, but Donati got murdered a year later, perfect for keeping the mystery alive. Another crew, this one led by Carmine Merlino, got dragged into the mess too. Then there was Robert Gentile, a Connecticut gangster with a knack for denial. In 2012, the FBI found a handwritten list of the stolen pieces with black market prices at his place. He kept saying he knew nothing, even after flunking a polygraph. When he died in 2021, any secrets he might have had died with him. And in 2013, the FBI dropped a bombshell. They said they knew who the thieves were. Two mob-connected guys, both already dead. The Bureau never named them, but reporters say it was probably George Reisfelder and Lenny DiMuzio, both gone within a year of the heist. The FBI also believes the loot traveled to Connecticut and Philadelphia and was even offered for sale, but after that, nothing. The trail just vanished. So, even though the FBI says they know who did it, the real question still haunts everyone. Where is the art? Was it the mob flexing its muscles? Or maybe an eccentric billionaire wanting his own secret gallery? Maybe someone got scared and destroyed everything when things got risky. The theories never end. Really, I want to know what you think. Who was behind the most notorious art heist in history? And where are those lost masterpieces hiding now? It's been over 30 years. The statute of limitations ran out long ago. No one will be charged for the theft itself. The FBI claims the investigation is ongoing, but let's be real. The trail has gone cold. What lingers is the emptiness. The Gardner Museum is still vibrant, a beautiful place, but in the Dutch room, those empty frames just hang there, silent and sorrowful. They're not just placeholders. They're wounds that never healed, reminders of a story without an ending. The museum hasn't given up. There's still a $10 million reward for anyone who can help return all 13 works. That reward is like a signal in the dark, proof that someone out there still believes the art will come back. Maybe it'll be a careless word, a guilty conscience, or someone chasing that massive reward. Until then, the frames stay empty. The world's greatest art heist? Still unsolved.